Hello, everybody. My name is DJ Akinton. Welcome to Wisdom for Winning. The purpose of Wisdom for Winning is to teach insight. These insights are gleaned from God's Word and from observing definite success patterns around us, which means that we have been able to match definite success pattern in the material universe with timeless scriptural principles. That's why we know that the things we teach on this program, they are capable of increasing the quantity and the quality of results that you get. In today's episode of Wisdom for Winning, I'll be talking about the fundamental test of your wisdom. The fundamental test of wisdom. Remember that wisdom is critical for survival in the material universe. But what are the fundamental tests of wisdom? Number one is the wisdom on your resources. The happiness you get in life is not a function of the quantity or the abundance of resources you have, but in your usage on those resources. In the parable of the 10 virgins, Jesus said some were wise and some were foolish. The one that were wise took oil and they took their lamp. While the one that were foolish, they had lamp but they did not take extra oil. And that was one of the fundamental tests of their wisdom. The wisdom on their resources. The usage of their resources. Which means that one of the foremost tests of wisdom is your ability for you to know what can sustain you now and what you need to save to preserve you for your future. As simple as this is, this is the fundamental test of your wisdom on your resources. For you to know the resources that you need now and the resources you need to save up for the future. A lot of people, they've heard it in different places, that how come you are spending everything you earn? Because the person is not able to differentiate between what can sustain him now and what he needs to save up for the future. It's very, very crucial. It's very, very crucial. And this is the wisdom of your resources. Some people have entered into business and they could not last 5 years. Why? Because they did not understand the wisdom of resources. That there's a resources I need now, and there is a resources I do not need to deploy until it is 2, 3 years, 5 years down the line. So you need a wisdom to understand resources that is required now and resources that you need to save up for the future. When Joseph gave the solution that preserved Egypt, it was working on the wisdom of resources. He said there will be 7 years of abundance and 7 years of lack. And in your life, you will always be having 2 cycles: time of abundance and time of lack. Wisdom means that you work the hardest when you are in your season of abundance. When a man is between the age of 25 and 55, or 25 and 40, or 25 and 35, that is when he has the abundance of energy. That is when his mental strength is very sharp. And that is when he needs to take the most risks of his life. That is when he needs to work the hardest. So the wisdom Joseph shared there is simple, that you need to work the hardest when you are in your season of abundance. Which means that when you are topping the chart as a musician, that is when you need to work the hardest. When your books are selling the most, that is when you need to work the hardest. And I say to students, when you resume on campus, the first 2 weeks, you don't have a lot of lectures going on. So you have abundance of time. That is the time you need to deploy to go and begin to spend extra hours in the library. Because 2 weeks to the exam, the lecturers will be rushing you. And when you go to the library, 2 weeks to the exam, you may not even have a space to sit by 8 a.m. There was a season of abundance of time when you need to work the hardest before you now move to the season of scarcity, when the people that have worked the hardest in that season of abundance will be resting. So the first rule of the wisdom of resources is that you should know the resources to deploy now in terms of your time and your energy, and resources you need to save up for the future. Number 2, in the parable of the 10 virgins, the other pointer that showed that those virgins were wise was because they were able to say no to the other 5 virgins. And that is the wisdom on association. You may be fantastic in your wisdom on resources, but you are poor on your wisdom of association. And when you look at that parable carefully, you understand that association could have, number one, diminished their resources. Number two, it will make their resources not useful to them and not also useful to their associates. Which means if you do not have wisdom of association, what you seem to have will not be useful to you and will not also be useful to your association. Which means that any association you cannot say no to should not be within your circle of influence. Any association of family members or close friends that they are not comfortable with your no, they should not be in your circle of interest. They should not be in your circle of influence. Why? Because those people will make your own resources redundant. It will not be useful to you, and your resources too will not be useful to them. That is why you have to have wisdom of association. Now, they understand that there are some things you cannot get from the secondary source. There are some things you cannot get from the secondary source. That was why they told the other 5 virgins, I cannot give this to you. What you are asking for is not for me to give to you. Go and meet the people that are selling. And some people are afraid to point their friends to primary source. That the kind of money you are asking me for to give you is not for me to give you. You cannot get this from a secondary source. There are some primary source that handles this. It could be a bank, it could be a microfinance. There are some money that it's okay for you to give your friends. But when your friends continue to put pressure on you, you must understand that there are some resources that will not come from a secondary source. You have to know how to point them to the primary source. That was why they told them, go and meet the people that are selling. And the reason some people are not making progress is this: some requests that has been directed to them, those requests should have been pointing to the primary source and not them. And also, you must understand that you must know what you can give that will trigger a change. That will trigger a change. That is why those people say, this what I'm going to give you now, it is not sufficient to trigger a change in you. And your capacity to work with people that they know, and you also know that you are factual with them, and you know that what they are demanding from you is not sufficient to trigger a change in them. Therefore, you shouldn't be afraid to actually say, on this case, no, I can't do this. Now, understand that the second phase to these people was because they were able to manage the association. And that particular parable concluded that when the bridegroom returned, they were ready to take advantage of the opportunities. The reason many people do not have the wisdom to take advantage of the opportunity is simply because they are yet to master the wisdom of resources and the wisdom of association. And what I'm telling you today is this, in this episode of Wisdom for Winning, is that you must know how to handle the wisdom of resources by understanding the resources that is meant for now and resources that you need for the future. For you to understand that you work the hardest when your opportunities are strongest, and you rest and because you work the hardest when your opportunities are greatest, you can relax when the opportunity seems to be diminishing, and people cannot necessarily trace you that you are on a high or on a low. Which simply means, as a musician, there will be certain times in your life that will be having a lot of hit songs. How do you know the wisdom of the song to release now and the song to save up in the future? Or you just release a full album, all the songs there are hit song, and by the time you are releasing your next album, you don't have any song to sing again. That is wisdom on your ability to undo resources. Then number 2, the wisdom of association. And I've said, any association that you are not comfortable to say no to, those associations will make your resources they will make your resources redundant, and those resources too may not be useful to them. That's the wisdom of association. As you're able to blend the wisdom of resources to your wisdom of association, then you are demonstrating wisdom, and that wisdom will cause you to triumph in different facets of your life. Till I come your way next time, do not forget to look at our YouTube page, which is Soul Passionate International. You can also follow me on Instagram at DJAkinton7. And of course, you can look at our Facebook page, which is titled Wisdom for Winning. Till I come your way next time, I am your host on Wisdom for Winning, Deji Akinton.